Okay, so you're posting consistently. Your work is good. Wait, no, your work is great. You are showing up. You're doing all the things that everybody tells you you have to do, and you're still not fully booked. And I have been doing this for quite a while now. And whenever I see a business that is not fully booked, I can normally whittle it down to one of 4 or 5 things. And this is what I have kind of coined my 4 keys to fully booked. And today I want to talk about those 4 things. The issue to me is not that you are not good enough, and it's not that you're not doing enough, and it's not that you're not posting enough. The issue I find that happens with most business owners is that they are too damn close to see that these are the deep-rooted issues. So let's talk about them. Hello everyone, and welcome back to this week's episode of A Podcast by Kaylee. We have got a little change of scenery this week. This week, my podcast studio. So for anybody who doesn't know, I have a content studio here in London that I rent out for anybody that needs a place for content. And my podcast studio is in the corner of that content studio. And we have been rocking and rolling. Thank you so much, guys, if you have booked the studio. But because it is so booked, I have not been able to record from there. So welcome to my living room. This is going to be a really classic episode of A Podcast by Kaylee. And at the moment, we are doing a challenge in my membership. This is not a plug. This is some context, okay? We are doing a challenge. We're doing a challenge from January till March. It's called 90 Days Till Fully Booked. And the aim of this challenge is to get as many bookings in your diary as possible. And some people in that challenge are rocking and rolling. Look, they've got like a goal of like 20, they've hit 25. Some people are absolutely smashing that challenge. And then some people are not so much. And that's no tea, that's no shade. That's just a reality. And it's a reality we need to talk about, to be honest, because I think that's a reality of 90% of business owners. And I really, really dedicate today's podcast episode to those people in my challenge, or just to these people in my community that are generally struggling right now with making money. So I'm getting back to my roots. We're getting back to my podcast roots. I used to do episodes like this all the time. So this week, I'm giving you exactly what the doctor ordered. We are doing a meaty. This is going to be a long podcast episode. This is truly a masterclass that I should probably charge for, but I just really wanted to give you guys almost my new take on the 4 keys to fully booked, because I look at that training and I definitely feel like it needs like a tiny bit of updating to just be a little bit more relevant with AI and with the way that social media has changed our brains. So that is what we are doing today. Welcome to my 4 keys to fully booked. If you have been struggling to get those bookings, to get those sales, to get those inquiries, this is your masterclass, my friends, and I really hope that you enjoy it. You know what I'm going to say, right? Get those hot chocolates and let's get into it. I want to diagnose the problem that you are having right now. And what I call this, and every business owner has this, but there is a knot. There is a knot in your business that is stopping things from trickling through. And we need to identify your knot. And what I find happens in business, and this is really, really common, and I am so guilty for doing this as well, but we seem to treat the symptoms, but we never seem to get down to the underlying cause. And this is what this episode is going to do for you guys today. I can give you hacks, I can give you solutions all day long, but we need to really diagnose the underlying cause of your knot, the block in your funnel that is stopping you from earning money and booking clients. Now, most people think that they are not booking out their calendar because one of these few reasons, and you can give me like a metaphorical hands up. If you're watching this on YouTube, give me like a hands up emoji in the comments if you have thought any of these things. Number 1, you are not posting enough, and that is the reason you're not getting booked. Number 2, the algorithm just isn't on your side this week, and that is the reason you're not getting booked. Number 3, your area, your niche, your industry is a bit saturated, and that's the reason why you're not getting booked. Perhaps you need better photos, perhaps you need more followers, or perhaps, have you ever caught yourself saying this? Perhaps it's your prices. Now, yes, all of those are contributing factors, but they are never going to be the knot. They are symptoms, they are not the disease. And hear that again. What I find most business owners do, and it's really hard to see and to know if you're doing this, is most people treat the symptoms and not the underlying condition, not the thing that is causing all of this. They will patch over it with a Band-Aid over and over again. But if you patch over a Band-Aid when you have eczema, you're going to need to keep changing that Band-Aid. We need to treat the eczema. Oh, I am in my doctor era. So here are, in my opinion, the 4 biggest causes, not symptoms, causes of why you are not fully booked. Key number 1, you do not know who you're speaking to, or you are speaking to nobody. Key number 2, you are invisible. Key number 3, you are not memorable. Or key number 4, it is a pricing issue. Spoiler alert, it's actually really rarely that one. What we're going to do is we're going to break down these key by key. So let's get to key number 1. You don't know who the heck your customer is. You do not know who the heck you're serving. This is the biggest one, and I'm going to be really, really blunt with you guys. This is like 70%. Like of any of my coaching calls, of any of my students, this is the one that's causing it. So chances chances are you guys at home, this is probably you're not. And what this looks like, and I feel like such a broken record. I'm so sorry for my OG listeners who have heard this episode like a billion times. I promise we're going to take a turn. We're going to take a different turn in a minute. But what this basically boils down to is that you are catering for the many and not the few. You are trying to serve everyone. And in the process of trying to serve everyone, you are serving no one. And what this translates to, this is going to be you. So I'm going to call some of you guys out right now. But this is what this looks like. Your bio says makeup artist or bridal makeup artist. You are an educator, but you educate to all levels. You educate to beginners and intermediates and advanced. Your service is for everybody. You do all types of glam. You do full glam, you do half glam, you do total eclipse glam. And I see this all the time. The way that you will know if this is you will know this is you because your bio will say something super generic like makeup artist, musician, wedding photographer. And I get it. I get why we have that. Like I get we don't want to turn people away or we don't want to put people off. Like we don't want to actually say no to money, right? But here is what actually happens. And I'm going to give you my real life example. And I think when you are looking at marketing, selling your business, if you're ever looking at like booking problems, look at yourself because you are a customer as well. You are a consumer. So really look at human behavior, human psychology, and how you buy as a human. And the best example that I can give for this is at the moment, I say this every single episode. Of course, you guys know this, but I'm planning my wedding. I know I have become that bride that does not shut up about her wedding. I'm currently planning my wedding. I am in stages right now where I'm kind of booking all my suppliers. And I want to tell you exactly who I have booked and why I have booked them. First of all, my makeup artist. My makeup artist is the exceptional Laura Carroll. And the reason that I booked Laura Carroll is Laura Carroll has this really statement glam that I want on my face. Laura Carroll does not do Hailey Bieber makeup. She does not do every single type of makeup. Laura Carroll does the Laura Carroll, which is this really gorgeous eye. It is, in my opinion, kind of a fuller coverage base, not a unnatural base, but there is makeup on, there is a blush on there, there is glow on there. It is the Laura Carroll. And on my wedding day, I want to look glam. I wear full coverage makeup every single day for filming. So to me, it feels very normal to wear a bit of glam. I want to look glam. So I booked Laura Carroll because she could do a specific style of makeup that I wanted. And I love her. My hairstylist, I want to shout out Stacey Goodwin. She came into my studio and she did this most incredible Pamela Anderson gigantic blowout that I've ever seen. And I booked Stacey because I wanted that blowout. If you go and have a look at Stacey's work on her Instagram, she has a plethora of big bodied hair. It is not effortless hair. It is not cute updos. It is not sleek buns. It is big hair. The bigger the hair, the closer to God, right? I booked her because I wanted a specific thing that she offered. When it comes to my invitations, I have gone for somebody that does like cute little doodles. Me and Robbie, we are both like artists at heart, right? Like I'm a makeup artist. He comes from an artist background. So we both wanted to invest in somebody who could create something a little bit more bespoke. But the style that we wanted was this cute, doodly style. We want like a tiny Shiba Inu on our invitations. We want like freaking spaghetti on there. We want all the little doodles of things that matter to us. So we found somebody who specialized in cute little doodles. I didn't want a photographer. I wanted the editorial photographer. I didn't want a hairstylist. I wanted a hairstylist that could do big AF hair. And when I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm looking for kind of people that I want for my wedding, I'm just met with an overwhelming amount of very generic stuff. Ask yourself, who would you book? Like if you were in the position where you are literally parting with money, maybe thousands of pounds worth of money, who are you booking? Are you going to book the bio that says makeup artist, or are you going to book the bio that says I do modern makeup for the chic, fashion forward bride? That bio right there, that bio is speaking directly to me. That tells me that that makeup artist has a speciality. They have a customer and I feel seen. I feel connected. I feel like that bio is written for me because it's about me, right? So I'm gonna put on my hardcore Kaylee hat. Some of you love her, some of you hate her. You're being too safe. Like you are being way too effing safe. If you're a photographer, what kind of photographer are you? If you're a musician, what kind of music? What kind of person listens to your music? I want you to go so much deeper with your ideal client than you are right now. Because what I am so sick of is seeing safe. Safe isn't what got Charlie XCX to Brat. And the way that I have conventionally taught ideal client work has been very kind of surface level. And that is important. It is important to know the age and the demographic of your client. Yes, it is important to know their job and their budget and what they're passionate about. You need to know how to speak their language and talk to a particular generation. But hear this, you can know all of those things. You can know the demographics, you can know the age, you can have done the ideal client work, and you can still not be booked. And this is what I mean by diagnosing the symptoms. By playing to just demographics, you are literally putting a band-aid over the eczema. Getting to the root of your ideal client, going levels and layers and levels and layers deeper, that is how you truly understand the cause of this knot. Now, I'm going to use a different example here, but let's just say you have a cute little Etsy shop, right? You're an Etsy independent artist and you create cool art, like cool prints. And in all your bios, you say, I create cute art, I create kawaii art. And you can create an entire portfolio of that wonderful art. You can have a really nice shop. You can have like really great testimonials. Let me paint a picture for you. Let's imagine that you're picking between two artists right now, and you've got that first one, that was the first example, and then you've got this second example, right? And beyond just their Etsy shop, they have a YouTube where they do kind of weekly vlogs where you get a peek into their apartment. And their apartment is this really cozy world where their prints and their characters have come to life. Let's imagine you start following this artist on Instagram and they have like a really cool, distinct style where it kind of fits in with the prints and the work and the aesthetic of the art that they are creating. Let's imagine that they have a newsletter, and in this newsletter, every single month, they tell you their inspirations and their references, and they have maybe like 6 limited edition prints based on what they're inspired by every single month. But you would only know about these prints if you were in that newsletter. And beyond just prints, they are creating characters. And when they are showing up alongside the world that this art exists in. They belong inside it and alongside it too. Every time you see them as the artist, they are in this world that they have created alongside their art. And you at this point as the customer, you are not just looking at an Etsy shop of prints. You are now a fan, not just a fan of the print, but a fan of the person, a fan of the brand, a fan of the culture that this person has created. You are immersed in it. You are looking forward to every single week those little newsletters. You're on the close friends list. You have little plushies all around your apartment of this character that artist has created. You're invested not only in the art, but in them and in the culture and world that they have created around their brand. The problem you have is that your art exists over here, right here. This is your product. This is your service. This is whatever it is that you're selling. And then over here, we have the ideal client. We have the ideal client profile. We've got all their demographics. And by the way, this person here is a human. They are more than their ideal client profile. They have emotions and complex feelings, and they are worried about the world right now. They are more than just their ideal client profile. So how do we bridge this, the service, with this, the client, the human, the person, the customer? The way that you bridge that is by creating feeling. You do that through creating a world that bridges that gap, by creating fandom. If you want to be the ultimate alternative wedding makeup artist, then you need to build, and hear this is one of the most important things I'm going to say on this episode, but you need to build a world not around your service, because how fucking boring is that? But around you, around your art, around your culture, around your vibe. You are the vessel for that. You're the bridge. And what I think most of us do, we create worlds around our service. We create worlds around price lists. And I hear you. What the F does this have to do with ideal client? What does this have to do with the original key, Kaylee? Because this part here is how you go layers deeper. This is a human. This is not demographics or pixels on a screen. Your client is a human being. And this human being cares about more than just your service. I promise you that. They care about culture and fashion and status and dogs and food, and they care about so many more things. And by creating a world just around your service, you are playing so small and you're playing so boring. Take you guys as a perfect example of this. I know I can lean a lot into the whole education thing, but that is probably not the reason why you're in my mentorship or my membership. It's probably another reason. Like if you've spent actual money with me, there is another reason why you spent that money. The service and what I do was part of it, but I think a bigger part of it was some part of you might have liked me, or maybe you liked how I make you feel or how you feel when you're in my cozy world. You have more interests as a multifaceted human being than just business. And what you are doing in your business is you are doing yourself a huge disservice by just making it service centric. Your client is more than that. They are smarter than that. There is more to them than that. And there's more to you than that. The best thing that you will ever do is creating for the few and not the many. Yes, absolutely do the demographic work. That is important work. That is the very first step of kind of niching down and building your business. Is you need to know who you're building it for. You need to know what language they talk and what their budgets are. But when you are creating content and marketing, create for a human, not demographics on a bit of paper. So your job, if you really, really think that your key is this, is you need to bridge that gap. Bridge the gap between your service and your client with you and your world, aka your brand. Okay, let's move on to the second key right now, and that is they don't know you exist. The second key is visibility. If these people that you are creating for, if they can't see you, they can't book you. I always say that. And I feel like this one is going to be so obvious, because if you are out here and you've created a world and you have a really strong brand and you know you are speaking to a super niche part of the population, then you probably do not have the first key. You probably do not have an ideal client problem. What you probably have is a visibility problem. And visibility instantly, and I think I'm also very, very guilty of this, is whenever I think about my own visibility, I just think, okay, well, I have to post more. It's quite this toxic thing that I do, is I always feel like the answer is doing more. I don't know if anybody else's brain actually naturally goes there, but that's just where mine goes. But one thing that I think my series Behind the Brand of a Celebrity has taught me is it has exposed me to so much more than that. I think celebrities get this part here so right. They're a business and they know what they're doing when it comes to being in business, because they have money. They have the $1 million team. They have access to the best minds and the best of the best. So taking notes from them, especially on marketing, which is essentially what visibility is very, very inspiring, and it's also very, very effective. So what I want us to do when we think about our visibility problem right now is I want us to think about it in 2 dimensions, or 2 different paths. Dimension number 1, where you're visible. Dimension number 2, how you are creating that visibility. There are 2 different sections. There are 2 different parts to visibility, and it's not just post more or be everywhere. And I think most of us, we're super guilty of this. Like, please let me know if you are guilty of this. But for me, when I think about visibility, I just think about Instagram. I think about short form platforms, and that's kind of where all of our thinking stops, right? But strategic visibility is about understanding all your options and then choosing the right mix for you and for your client. So this is where we're going to go deep. We're going to go deep on visibility. That first, treating the symptoms, that is when you're just like, I'm going to post more and be more visible. But this is when we treat the cause. So let's look at dimension number 1 first, which is where you're visible, aka the channels. And this part here, guys, I've got the most notes on this section. So this here, I'm going to need you to take some notes, because this is a whole celebrity masterclass in marketing right now in a random podcast episode. So get those notebooks out for this section. Okay, so dimension number 1, the problem number 1 that we need to solve is where are we being visible? The channels, okay? The channels of our visibility. There are 4 main categories of place where you can be visible. You have online search-based, this is Google, and this is also treading slightly over into AI search. So that is called search-based visibility. Number 2, you have social-based visibility. Number 3, you have in-person visibility. And number 4, you have traditional press visibility. These are all the different ways that you and your business can be visible. And when you think of celebrities, have a think about any like album that you have loved that's been released over kind of the last 5 years. Me, we know I'm obsessed with Bratz by Charlie XCX. And when I think about this in relation to her, like where was she visible? Her visibility channels were TikTok. She also had a private Instagram. Those were her social channels. She also targeted in person a lot. She didn't really give any thought. It didn't make any real sense for her to pay attention to like search-based visibility. So we're going to go through these one by one and work out what ones make sense for your business. Hopefully this exercise is going to open up your world just a little bit more than focusing on just Instagram and TikTok. Okay, now the first channel that you can be visible is online search-based visibility. This is when somebody is actively searching for you online. They are looking for someone to fulfill whatever need it is that they need fulfilling. What they are not doing is they are not scrolling and stumbling upon you. They are searching with intent. So what this often looks like in practice, somebody going on Google and typing in brand photographer London, business coach for photographers. They are actively looking to part with their money. They are searching for someone to fulfill a need. And online search-based visibility has a few like micro channels under it. So let's have a little look at those. Obviously the first one is Google and Google Business. Google is where, and I I know Google gets like a bad rep for being like very millennial or being like a little bit outdated right now, but Google is still, the data shows it is still the number one search engine. It still has more searches than TikTok. It still has more searches than Instagram. And Google, if you think about the person that is searching, they are searching with intent to buy. So this is somebody who is already warm. They don't necessarily need to be warmed up with all your funnels. They are on the hunt. If you are not showing up in those searches on those top pages, you are invisible to people who have intent to buy. These people are literally looking to spend their money. They are on the prowl. So why are we not making Google and SEO a priority, my friends? They are not scrolling in entertainment mode like they are on Instagram. They are in I need to solve a problem now mode. So if you have any business, I do not care what niche you're in, put it below and I will tell you whether you need to be on Google. But I would be willing to bet 90% of you, 99% of you need to be on Google and need to be putting much more effort into your Google SEO. I have, by the way, shameless plug here, I have an excellent masterclass on this. I think you can buy it for like 50 or £100. Like it's so cheap and it is so good. And it has helped hundreds of my students get to number one on Google. So shameless plug there. Just I'll link it below. I'll link it somewhere. But you need to be focusing on two major parts here. Your Google presence, so where you are showing up on those Google pages, but also your Google business profile. This is optimized for people who are searching makeup artist near me, burger near me. Now, there is Google, but there is also Instagram. Number one, Instagram's priority is to be an entertainment app, but Instagram's second priority, they have actively said over and over, is they want to be a search engine too. And people, I don't know about you, but I use Instagram for searching all the time. I'm such a millennial. But yes, there are people out there on Instagram actively searching and using Instagram as a search engine to find your service. So what you need to do is you need to optimize your profile to be optimized for those people searching. So what this would look like is having your keywords in your header, in your bio, in your captions, in your alt text, in your audios. Yes, Instagram has, these fun little bots or whatever you want to call them, where they can actually hear what you are saying. It's in the captions, and then they can start to categorize you for what you are saying. Also, the text in your content. So any text that you're putting on top of your reels, Instagram can read that and can categorize you for those words. If you're putting a product list in your caption, or if you're putting like song lyrics, that is what you are popping up for. You want to be putting, especially if you want more bookings, like more money from Instagram, you need to be optimizing yourself for Instagram search, for the people that are using Instagram to book, not to be confused with the people that are using Instagram to scroll and entertain themselves. More on that later. Now, Pinterest is also another kind of mini search engine. And full transparency here, I am not the Pinterest girly. I do not know a damn thing about Pinterest. But one thing I do know, there's a lot of chatter on Threads and there's a lot of data that is showing that Pinterest, their data is going up, like their users are going up, the amount of time that people are spending on Pinterest is going up. So it should be maybe a channel that we should pay a bit more attention to, especially if you are in an industry where people are using Pinterest to plan. So planning outfits, planning brand shoots, planning weddings. If you're someone who is like a musician, I wouldn't necessarily think that you would need to use Pinterest. For example, it doesn't really apply to my niche. But if you are somebody whose work kind of coexists with Pinterest, where you are in an industry where people are using Pinterest to pin for what you do, your work could essentially be showing up in those searches and getting in front of those eyes early in the planning process. Before they even know your name, before they even know you exist, they are pinning your work. And now I think, again, I'm not the Pinterest girly by any means, but I'm pretty sure you can link your Instagram and your Pinterest so that it's like an automatic thing. But anyway, I'm not the person for that. All I'm saying is maybe we should be paying a little bit more attention to it for our visibility. Now, YouTube is another search-based kind of search engine to give you some search-based visibility. And it is the second largest search engine next to Google. And guess who owns YouTube? And the thing with long form video is it ranks forever. You will continue to accumulate views on that forever. Now, again, YouTube might be one that doesn't really serve your industry. Like if you're a makeup artist, if you're a photographer, if you're like a service-based business, I don't think people are going on YouTube to search for you. So I think this one will definitely work for some industries more than others. But if you are building a brand, if you are a content creator, if you're building like a lifestyle brand, if you are the brand, YouTube should absolutely be a place that you should pay attention to. Personal brands, I think, should be built on YouTube. Now, finally, I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about TikTok search. TikTok is also another platform where a lot of people, particularly Gen Z, I also do this, especially with food. I will search for like foodie places on TikTok. and it is being used as a search engine. I am seeing a huge part of my community, the Level Up Club in particular, getting bookings from TikTok. Again, if you are able to optimize your profile and your content to get in front of those eyes that are searching for you, you don't need to overthink so heavy on the lead magnets and the funnels and things like that. People that are searching are warm already. They have a need that needs to be filled. So you need to fill that. And that right there, all of that is known as search-based visibility. It is those people that are looking and searching actively for you. And honestly, if you're able to optimize for this, you're playing on easy mode. To this day, I do not do any social media marketing for my makeup business, but I had like 7 inquiries last week. I don't do a scrap of social media marketing. All of that is from my search-based visibility. And this is not to be confused with online social media visibility. I know there was a little bit of a crossover there, but try and kind of compartmentalize this. Some social medias cross over into search engine kind of territory. But online social media-based visibility, this is when somebody who is not really actively searching for you, they are just maybe doom scrolling, finds you, discovers you whilst they are scrolling. This is the likes of your Instagram, your TikTok, your Substack, your Facebook, your LinkedIn's, anywhere that people are consuming content for entertainment and can just stumble across you naturally. The difference between search and social, search-based visibility, is they are searching with intent. Social media-based visibility, they don't know they need you. They might not even need you at all, but you interrupt their scroll and you make them in that moment care about you enough for them to follow you. But I think this is where we get a tiny bit confused, because if you want money, if you want bookings, you should be optimizing for search. You, and I maintain this alone, could book out your calendar with just search-based visibility. Go nuts on keywords and make sure if you do not have money and bookings and you want to use search-based visibility for money and bookings, make yourself obsessed with showing up first and go absolutely nuts with your keywords. Let's say I stumbled across a plumber and I don't need a plumber. Why am I going to follow that if all of their grid is just like their work? Unless that plumber's content was really fun and really entertaining, and I in some way wanted to consume more of that. I got dragged into that world a little bit. And this is what I was talking about a little bit last week, is your content shouldn't just revolve around your service unless your one and only aim of social media is to promote your service. And the great side effect here, the great side effect of just diversifying your content a little bit more and creating a brand and creating for fandom and community, is that let's just say somebody follows you because you're a makeup artist, but you're also like a cool skincare girly, cool alternative girly. You have like an entire brand. They're following you for you and your journey. But imagine in like 2 years' time, they get engaged and they're like, wait, I know the perfect person for this. I want this person. One day, your person might need your service, which is why your content needs to be about more than just your service. But again, as I said, and I've said this in loads of different podcast episodes, it really does depend. Like, always put this advice through the lens of what you are building. And if you're building a personal brand, then your brand needs to be about more than just your service. But if you're building a business brand, then it will be very focused on your service and search. Anyway, let's move on to the next visibility channel, and that is in-person visibility. Okay, now in-person visibility, this is old school, right? People really sleep on this because they class it as like this outdated thing that doesn't work anymore. But let me prove you wrong. The other day, I was walking to my studio and I walked past a coffee shop, and in the window of this coffee shop, they had some leaflets. And one of them was this cute wedding invitation with loads of doodles on it. That person is now creating our wedding invitations. In person is very powerful. And I guarantee every single person listening to this is sleeping on the power of in-person visibility. In-person visibility is when you are physically present in some way. Your business is physically present in some way in front of your customer. Either you in person or some extension of your business. There are so many different, again, little ways that you can leverage in-person visibility. And I would definitely, no matter who you are, pick one or two of these because it is so slept on and it is so powerful. Some of the different ways that you can channel some in-person visibility is with networking events. These are your your wedding fairs, your industry mixers, your creative meetups. And I get it. Networking events can feel incredibly forced, incredibly awkward, incredibly like not what we want to do on a Thursday afternoon, right? But here's the thing that I've kind of learned is that almost every single podcast guest that I've ever had on has told me some story that has related to an in-person moment. They might have got a client or a partnership that just came from this very small in-person opportunity. And I can be a testament to this. I have gained loads of clients through in-person meetings. I went to this lovely networking event for creatives and I met this lovely lady who has now become a friend, and I did her makeup for a TV show. And the reason that this works so well is nothing beats vibes. Like, vibes can only be felt in person. And the beauty of this is you are not competing with an algorithm here. You are not one of 500 reels that I have seen that day. You are a human that has been met. They have felt your energy, your aura. They have smelt your perfume and your presence. And that is so powerful. Ways that I would kind of leverage in-person networking is I would go to places where your ideal client hangs out. If your ideal client, for example, is like a yoga girly, maybe it would be beneficial to create a leaflet that you can put in the yoga studio's pin board. I have a student of mine who has leveraged this quite well. She lives in quite a small town and she knows the community in her small town is really, really powerful. So she dropped off some leaflets at her local bridal store. She's got some really nice, really simple leaflets made up. She drops them off in her local bridal store and they're in like the little coffee area. She gets like a dozen brides a year from that single bridal store. The ways that you can leverage in-person visibility is through speaking events and through speaking engagements. If there is kind of a local event near you, maybe it's like a wedding planning workshop or a business panel. When you're on stage or when you're on that panel, when you are in that room, it automatically, you just being there, your presence positions you as an expert with credibility. So I would see if there were any speaking events or workshops or even just like online digital events that you can lend your voice to. Every single year, I actually put myself forward for the podcast show in London every single year. I never hear back from them, but one day I will be on that stage. Even if you can't be somewhere physical, having your presence felt somewhere through leaflets, through little newspapers, this stuff still works. It gets shit on a lot, but it still works. Now, the last kind of place where you can get some visibility is through external platforms like press. Celebrities love this one, and this is essentially when you are visible on somebody else's platform. Not your own social media, not in person, but in other people's media, in other people's publications, in their press. And you will find celebrities love this one. They will do the old media circuit when they have a new album coming out, or they'll go on Jimmy Kimmel, they'll do the Chicken Shop Day, they will do the Hot Wings, the Graham Norton show, you know, they'll do the media circuit. But for us mere mortals who cannot get on Graham Norton, this will look a little bit different. But this will look like press and media features, you lending your voice or a quote to a blog post. It will look like getting featured in a magazine, be it print or online. It will look like maybe you going on somebody else's podcast or maybe going live with someone. It is going into somebody else's community and hosting a class on their behalf, co-collaborating on YouTube channels and YouTube videos. There are so many other ways that you can be visible that's not just relying on your platform and your social media. And I find that these are often so much more fruitful than just slogging away 6 posts a week on your own social media, and so much more fun as well. And that is dimension 1, okay? That's the where. You choose where you show up in all of those things based on what works for you, your brand, and your business. Not one, certainly not all, just the ones that matter. But now we have the second matter, which is how do we create visibility in those places? That's just the where. Now we work on the how. How do we create visibility on those platforms? And this is the methods. These are the strategies, right? I feel like this whole visibility section could have been a whole podcast in itself. Let me know if you want to see that. But these are the methods. These are marketing methods. And there are 4 main types of marketing that I just want to briefly go over, because I think, again, we only focus on one. So much of our time and attention goes strictly on social media and social media marketing. That is it. And I'm here to open up your world and tell you there are so many other ways that you can become visible. And the chances are you are not visible because you are focusing strictly on Instagram and organic marketing. So let's go through it. Let's go through the 4 main types of marketing that you can do. Number 1, organic marketing. And I'm willing to bet every single person listening to this does this. This is when you are not paying for ads, you are not paying for placement, you are building visibility through your own effort and through your own content. This is what I do. This is what 99% of us are doing because it's free. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's just the most natural place that we can market. Examples of this is just creating content on Instagram, TikTok, creating content essentially. There are obviously some really big benefits to this, being the biggest one being that it's free, but the biggest con to this is that you are battling an algorithm. You're battling other people's content, you're battling a lot of external factors, and it is very time heavy. And I think it goes without saying is it can be also really slow. It requires consistency, it requires patience, and it also requires a hell of a lot of luck. In fact, I would go as far as to say the video that blew up for me on YouTube that is responsible for like over half of my YouTube following was pure luck. It was not that video was good. It was not better than any of the other videos that I've produced. I was just smiled at by the algorithm gods. But I do think organic marketing content creation should be kind of the foundation of your marketing because it is effective and it is free. The second type of marketing that you have is paid marketing, aka ads. This is when you essentially pay to play. It is when you pay to get in front of people's eyes. So you can do this on Facebook, you can boost posts on Instagram, you can pretty much pay for any type of ad on any platform, to be honest. The pros to this is it is fast and it is effective. If it is done very well, then it can be incredibly effective. I have spoken to so many coaches who, quite frankly, actually are quite bad at their jobs, but do very, very well because they invest heavy in ads. But the cons are, and the biggest one is that it costs money, and it can cost quite a lot of money. It also requires a certain level of skill. For example, I never do paid marketing because I don't know what I'm doing. I do not have any expertise in targeted marketing. So therefore, I guarantee if I threw £100 or more on any type of paid ad, it's going to bomb. It's going to absolutely bomb because I feel like you definitely need to know that world. But I definitely feel like when I look at my own business, this is my knot. This part right here is my knot, is that my visibility, I only ever rely on organic visibility. And I know in myself, if I actually did paid ads well, I would be fully booked, like I would. Okay, now the third type of marketing that you can do is called guerrilla marketing. And this is typically low cost. It's extremely effective, particularly if you have like a brand or a product-based business. And this is very unconventional, very, very creative. It is kind of utilizing tactics that surprise and disrupt, completely the opposite of traditional marketing. An example of this, and this is a really good idea that I had for my fiance, Robbie. He used to work for like a rubber duck company. You might have seen them. They are like these little rubber ducks, they're collectible rubber ducks, and he was in charge of the marketing for that. And I said, oh my God, one thing that you should do is you should just put thousands and thousands of these ducks all around London. That is guerrilla marketing. It is something that doesn't necessarily make sense, but it creates conversation and chatter. I don't know, I would be intrigued to know if that would have worked. Truly for me, I don't believe any service providers at all ever utilize guerrilla marketing. It's really underutilized, and I bet there's reasons why for this. I bet it's extremely difficult for us to kind of get involved in this, but I would love to rack my brain and see if I could figure out a way that I could use guerrilla marketing to kind of promote my service and my channels. Now, the fourth and final type of marketing, I mean, there are lots of other different types, but the fourth main type is word of mouth or referral-based marketing. And this is when other people market for you. Your clients, it's when your clients refer you to their friends. It's when followers recommend you in their circles. And it is truly the most powerful form of marketing there is. It's the golden goose egg in the entire space because it comes with this inbuilt thing that you cannot buy: trust. If a friend tells me, you need to go to this Japanese restaurant, you will love it, it does the best sashimi, I'm going to go there. And this is why we should be utilizing refer a friend programs and affiliate programs. And this is why like the foundation of what influencer marketing is built upon. It is an influencer recommending a product from their mouth, word of mouth. And there are two main mistakes that I see most of you making. Like if this is your key and this is your knot, I guarantee this is the mistake that you're making. Mistake number one is that you are putting too many eggs in one single basket. This is not me telling you that you need to go and be everywhere, but maybe you're putting too many eggs in organic marketing's basket. Maybe you need to put a few more eggs in search-based visibility's basket. That is mistake number one. Mistake number one is you have gone too pinpoint on one thing, and that is not enough. But Mistake number 2 is that you're trying to do everything and you're trying to be everywhere and you are diluting your efforts by doing that. The sweet spot is somewhere in between. What you need to do is create kind of a strategic mix based on where your ideal client is, what methods align with you and your strengths and your resources, and what stage of business you're at. What I would do though, before anything else, is do a visibility audit. Just because you are posting 6 times a week does not mean you are visible. And that is something I think I've definitely learned from doing this behind the brand stuff. You need to kind of work out where you're at right now and if you have too many eggs in a certain basket. And what I would really encourage us all to do is just really try and look at how we can be visible outside of the realms of Instagram, because you can be incredibly visible. You can be posting your ass off, but still not be fully booked. If you are posting your ass off and you are not fully booked, you know you probably have a visibility problem, but not in the way you thought. Okay, let's talk about key number 3. That was an entire masterclass on visibility. I'm so sorry. When I make these notes, it takes me like a day. It takes me like a day to script these things. And one thing I need to work on is just putting less. Like, we need to do less. I need to do less. But anyway, let's talk about key number 3, memorability. This one here, you will know if you have this one because you will be bored of yourself. You will be bored of yourself. You have no engagement. No one cares about what you do. This is normally a sign that you are not very memorable. This also will look like you are tuned in and tapped into your ideal client and you are super visible across lots of different mediums. So if that is the case, it might be a little bit of this one. And this is where personal branding becomes very, very important. I have talked about personal branding. I have become like a personal branding channel in these last few episodes. I can honestly say no more than I have already done about personal branding. But if you look at your account and you are truly bored, it is this one right here. If you look like everyone else, then that is exactly what you are. You look like everyone else. And if you look like everyone else, by the way, do you like my Ratatouille pajamas? Goated. If you look like everyone else, just know that your work and your talent is not enough. I have talked about this. Let me be hardcore for just a second real quick. I think we in business can sometimes operate from a really arrogant place, and this is a very natural place we go. It does not mean you're a bad person. I sometimes fall into this, but it's when we produce work and we produce content and we think that's enough. Honey, it used to be enough, but it is not anymore. Everyone is producing great content. Hundreds and thousands of creators, artists, businesses are producing great content. That will never be enough right now. And unless you are goated, and unless you are the 1% where, even the 0.1% where your photography is better, where you create content is better, the quality is better, what you do is just plain better, you will know when you're better. You will know when the work you produce is better than standard. Unless you feel that deep in your soul, then what you are is normal. And guess what? That is not a bad place to be. We are all normal. Most of the population is here. So what do you do when you are as good and as talented as 90% of the industry surrounding you? Think about the brands and the businesses that you remember. What made them memorable? What made them stand out? What made you pay attention to them? That is where we need to start in this puzzle and decoding and untangling this knot. The people that have kind of made it, when you think of like the Emma Chamberlains, the Glossiers, the Brat, they have all made it because of their strong visual identities and the strong personal brand that they have leaned all the way into. The strong thing, the little inkling that said, maybe I should do this, maybe I should lean more into like the cozy content. Follow that feeling. It will not lead you astray. Lean into you, lean into your personality. When your work isn't enough, you will be. So if memorability is probably the thing that you are struggling with, then you need to make this year all about your personal brand. And if you don't want to do that, because I know a lot of us do not want to do that, then you need to build a business brand that is so much better than everyone else's. You need the professional website. You need the professional branding. You need to hire somebody to do your content for you. Your content needs to be a high level of excellence. You need to be better, because what you lack in personality, you need to make up for by being plain better with your talent and with the way you package your talent. So build a brand, personal, business, I don't care what it is that you build, but build one, and build a damn good one. That is how you get past the memorability problem. Now, only then, if every single one of those is at a 10 out of 10, then it's your price. If you are still getting stuck it's probably your price, but it rarely is this one. What happens when it's a pricing problem is it's very often a positioning problem, hiding in plain sight as a pricing problem. This one is tricky because it's actually rarely about the price of things. It is always about an imbalance between your price and the position that your brand is at. And this is really common. Sometimes I will see this when students, they are charging luxury prices, but their brand is not giving luxury. And this is when you outprice yourself, when you have reached a luxury or a high-end level in your pricing, but your brand, your service, and it's not often about the talent, but more the way you are packaging that talent is not luxury. But I truly, truly believe if you want to charge higher pricing, you can and you will be able to if the other points are made and met. If your brand is on point, if you're speaking to your ideal client will pay whatever if they are connected to you, if they want you. When there is a will, there is a way. And listen, with my wedding photographer, she is charging a ton, but I want her. Can I afford her? I could use that money, but I want her, so I'm gonna find that money. People will find the money for you when they want you. To build that want, you need to go in on the other keys. Then you won't have a pricing misalignment problem. I'm telling you right here, right now, and I stand by this, you can charge whatever you want, to be honest. There is a luxury market, there is wealthy people out there. You really can charge whatever you want. You will get people saying to you they can't afford you. There will be a lot of people saying you're out of budget if the other keys have not been met. That is the pricing problem. Now, there is a secret fifth key that I want to talk about. And it's a little bit cheesy, but I think we have to touch on it. And the secret fifth key is you. More often than not, the thing that is standing between you and being fully booked is you. It is mindset blocks, procrastination. It'll be a fear. It'll be a fear of being seen, or it'll be a fear of failure, or it'll be a fear of just inadequacy. And here's what I have to say to that, because I'm gonna be real, I'm exhausted. I have to say, get out of your own way. Or quite frankly, someone more ambitious than you that doesn't battle with this will come and will take your business. And quite frankly, that person is probably less talented than you, probably will do a worse job than you, but they'll get the client because they had the balls to. If you think you're not good enough, okay, well, somebody who thinks they are good enough is going to take your clients. Are you scared? Okay, well, be scared, but the work is going to go to the person who isn't, or who is scared but is doing it anyway. You are losing not because of undercutters, not because of algorithms. You're losing because you're standing in your own way. You're the block. You're the knot. And I want to talk to this for just 1 second, and I want to shout out one of my students. I'm not going to name her name, but I have had this student for, God, I want to say like 4 years. I think the entire time that I've done what I've done, she has been in my community in some way. This person came to me and she was very shy. She was very scared. She was very lacking in confidence. And I remember we would hop on calls and I would talk to her about like, why, like, you're so talented. You're one of the most talented people in my community. Why are you not like doing this shoot or networking or putting yourself forward for this opportunity? And she would say, oh, I can't charge that. I'll never charge that. And she's been on a bit of a personal journey. We actually did the mentorship together, my 12-week mentorship. And she came to me just 2 or 3 days ago. And she said, I had my very first 1,000 plus day rate the other day. And I remember the very first time I came in your community, I didn't even think I'd ever get 350 a day, let alone $1,000. And it's just, I have witnessed with this particular person, somebody who felt the fear, was consumed by the fear, but wanted so much more for herself that she had to face the fear. She wanted more for her life, her future, her children. And she has come face to face with the fear. And I'm sure she's still so scared. But she made a decision to not be the knot. And as a result, I stand by her. I back her. And I know she'll be one of the best and biggest makeup artists in our industry, given time, nourishment, watering, and continuing to face fears. And on the other side of all that, she never had anything to be scared of. Nothing bad has happened to her. She hasn't had one giant colossal loss. Her business hasn't gone up in flames. She just came face to face with fear and held hands with it. So if any of those 4 keys brought up shame, guilt, fear, stubbornness. That, my friend, is the thing that you need to give your attention to first, because you can do all of the others. But this one will hold you back. No amount of strategy can save you if you're standing in your own way. No amount of talent either, because it's not enough. And this is the part where I tell you, invest in your mindset and this and that. And you know what you need to do. Go get therapy, go listen to mindset podcasts, make time to improve your mindset. I don't know what that is and what that looks like for you, but you know, if this one is your key, then this is the one you need to spend some time on. Your homework, yes, this is a podcast with homework, is I want you to figure out your key and I want you to DM it to me. So if you have listened to this podcast and you know what your key is, tell me, hey Kaylee, I listened to the podcast this week and I know that my key is this. I want you to take some action, some accountability, and actually work on that key, not band-aiding over it. Make some moves, take some action, re-listen to this podcast, and heck, if you want to go even one step further, here's my shameless plug for you. Come and join our membership, the Level Up Club, where I have 1 billion trainings. I am recreating an entire YouTube vault for the Level Up Club guys in there. There is so much in there for any creative in business who wants to actually take action on any of those keys. We have ideal client trainings, we have social media trainings, we have so many trainings. So if you want to do it with a bunch of badass women who are doing it with you, you know where to go. Anyway, thank you guys so much. If you made it to the end of this episode, thank you. I'm sorry if you can hear Mio in the background right now. She wants to go out. So that is my cue to get off. This has been a really long one, but I just needed to get back to, I don't know, serving this community a little bit. I've done a lot of podcast episodes that are like things that I want to do, but this one I felt like some of you guys needed this week, particularly my Level Up Club community. So you know who you are if you need this. Please let me know what you thought of it, and I will catch you next week for another episode of A Podcast by Kaylee. Bye guys. How did the mic do? Bye guys.